What's up, everybody? I get asked from time to time, what starter bass do I recommend? Okay, and it's totally on the person who's looking for a bass. What kind of bass you looking for? You looking for a fairly expensive bass, something really cheap? You looking for a 4-string? You looking for a 5-string? So these are the kind of the starter basses that I have. What I tend to do with starter basses is I buy them and then I modify them and make them into what I want them to be, instead of going out spending thousands of dollars on some, boutique bass. I take what kind of bass I like and make it into what I want it to be. So I have 4 basses here that are kind of I consider starter basses. Okay, I have 2 4-strings and 2 5-strings. I'll start with the 5 strings. This one right here is a Ibanez. I think it's a Soundgear 505. I use this bass all the time on shows. That's why you can see this little wood chunk out of it. I think my thumb did that over time. So this bass is great. I mean, it's got great tone. It's light. The neck is small. And the action is just right for me. It's got a 3-band EQ on it. It's got bass, mid, and treble. It's got a blend. And it's got a volume. 1 volume. Okay? Great bass. I use it all the time. This is, matter of fact, I'm going to use it tonight. I can't say enough about these because of the lightweight and the way they sound. Now, there's a little story about this other Ibanez. I think it's called a Geo. I bought this bass as kind of an emergency because I was on a gig, went there and set up, and realized when I got to the gig that I left my basses at home. So I didn't have any basses, and I was too far from home to go back and get my basses. So I was trying to find a place to rent a bass for the day, and the only place close by was Guitar Center, and they wouldn't rent me a bass. So I ran in there and tried to find the best bass I could to buy, and the plan was to buy the bass, do the gig, and take the bass back and get my money back. But I bought this bass for less than 300 bucks. Okay? And I was going to take it back when I was done, but then I did the gig with it, and I was like, this bass ain't half bad. Okay, so what I did is I kept it, and I ended up using it not only on that one gig, but I took it to Mexico for a gig. I did a wedding in Mexico last year in Cabo San Lucas, and instead of bringing one of my expensive basses on the airplane, I brought this bass, and it did a great job on the wedding. So decided to keep it. So, but what I did is, since it's a 5-string and I have this Ibanez 5-string and I have other 5-strings, I decided to string this bass different. So, as you know, most 5-string basses is a B, E, A, D, and G string, right? But I did something different with this 5-string. I did E, A, D, G, high C. So this 5-string is strung different. There's no low B on this one. This is kind of my little play bass that I sit around and try to practice chords on and playing, chordal stuff on. And it's, just a different sound than the other basses. Okay, so I use this. I don't usually use this on gigs anymore. I usually just practice with it around the house. And like I said, it's strung E, A, D, G, and then C. Okay, now it's got a volume, a blend, tone control here. And then this little small knob is a bass boost. Nice little feature on it. Got a little bass boost on it. Okay, so that's the 5 strings. Now this one, probably my favorite of the cheap basses, is my modified Squire Fender Jazz bass. This is a monster bass right here. Okay, I bought it, and fresh out of the box it sounded great. Okay, but you know me, I can't sit there and I had to modify it. I had to make it into a Frankenstein bass. So what I did, I put a badass 2 bridge on it. Okay, put some EMG pickups on it. Okay, took the stock pickups out. Stock pickups sounded pretty good on it, but they were a little noisy. Okay, and so I wanted something quieter. So I got the EMGs in here. I run it at 18 volts. Okay, and then I had the guy who does my let me see if I can get this out of it without knocking the other ones over. I had him cut out the back of it so I can stick the electronics back here, the batteries and whatever else I need to put back there. So this bass is totally modified, and you'll see me playing in some of my videos, especially when I have to do slap stuff. Okay, and then these basses, the modified jazz basses, the Squire basses, they're awesome. Okay, Squire used to have a bad name, you know, being a cheap bass, but the new ones are not too bad, especially for beginners. Okay, if you don't want to spend 800 bucks on an American Jazz or 1,000 bucks, get one of these. Okay, now this bass right here to the far left, this P bass, I was messing around on the internet one night, and I ran across a company called SX right here. Okay, now this bass is the most surprising bass of all. This company, this bass costs $115, and it sounds awesome. Okay, do a YouTube search on SX basses, and they make a jazz bass model. Listen to the videos that the guys are playing with those SX jazz bass models. Holy smokes, they sound just like a Fender jazz bass. Okay, and they're about 120 bucks. The upper models are like 180 bucks. They're all less than 200 bucks. Okay, and they sound awesome. Okay, now I'm gonna Frankenstein this bass out. I already bought the pickups. Okay, and I bought some Seymour Duncan quarter-pound pickups. I'm gonna replace the stock ones in. I'm probably gonna replace the two pots here, volume and tone. And the one thing I do not like about the SX bass is the headstock. I do not like this headstock. Okay, it just looks goofy to me. I don't like it. So they used to have a more of a Fender style, but some reason they switched to this thing. I don't know why, but it sucks. Okay, I'm gonna change the neck on this. I'm gonna put a more Fender style neck on it, and then I'm gonna, like I said, replace the pickups, and then I'm gonna leave the bridge there for right now. I don't think I'm gonna change the bridge out, and I'm gonna keep it passive. Okay, like I said, I made this jazz bass active, but I'm gonna keep this passive. Okay, because I want that more old school thing. Oh, and another thing I'm gonna do with this one, I'm gonna put flat wound strings on it. All these other basses have round wound strings on it for a brighter tone. Okay, but this one is gonna be more of an old school soul, Motown, classic rock sound, 60s, early 70s sound, because I want a bass that's already set up for that kind of sound. So that's the plan. Now you can find these basses at rondomusic.com. That's RONDO music.com. Amazing basses for the price. It's amazing how cheap these basses are, and they sound pretty good. Okay, you might need to tweak them up a little bit to get them where you want it, but if you're just starting out and you need a good jazz sounding bass or a good P bass, this is where you want to go. Now these are the ones that the beginner basses I consider beginner basses. Okay, of course there's other ones out there that other people like. These are the ones I like. I like Ibanez, I like Fender Squire, and I like the SX basses. Okay, so hope that answers everybody's question on beginner basses. Now get out there and buy one and start practicing. I'll catch you later. Peace.